I'm sure you already know who these ladies are, but Loputyn probably is the most famous Lolita YouTuber content creator we ever had. And the most cool and the most fun. I don't know, or maybe for starting you could explain a little bit how you started, how you decided to have this career, which is pretty awesome and complicated.
For sure. So I found out about Lolita fashion in 2006, and I thought that it was only in Japan. I had no idea that like people around the world were wearing it, so I thought I could never do it. Like it's just a dream. And then I went to my first convention in 2010, and I saw Lolitas in Los Angeles, and I was like, "What? How are you here?" And then there was this whole community, so I started making YouTube videos because I wanted to film it and show people that like we're out there, like this exists, you can do it in other places. And then I just got more ideas, and I found that people were like, "Hey, I'm having this difficulty," or like, "I don't know if I can do it because of this." And it's like, "Oh, well, I'll just make a video like explaining about it." Or like, "I don't know where to buy it." So it's like, "Oh," and it just like kept going, and then I would have like lists of videos, and I'm like, I guess this is gonna take over my life now. And then in 2016, I was able to finish school in Canada, so I moved to Canada and finished film school, and was like, it's a lot cheaper to live in Canada than it is in the US, so I was like, let me just dive into this full time and make this my career.
So it looks like a natural process, right? Like you started and then it was not like something you decided consciously to do, like I will become a content creator and this will be my job, or was something that you just naturally...
It just, because I had interest in documentary films, and I was working on like reality shows and like doing just like assistant work and stuff, and then I was working like a bunch of other jobs. Like I was also working in a pet store, and I would like edit on my breaks in the pet store, like in my car. I'd be like editing a YouTube video, and then it just like kept going, and I kept telling myself that I would stop when I ran out of ideas, or I felt like I covered everything, and that just never like still. I have so many ideas, and people keep bringing me ideas or asking questions. So I made the decision like in 2016 because I was like, I'm gonna invest in my education and like learn how to do this properly, and then go from there.
Okay, it seems so interesting. We will go back to Laura, but first of all, I would like to make the same question to you, Jessica. How did you start, like, not just drawing, because maybe something that artists do naturally, but seeing that this can be my work, this is something I want to do fully and go ahead with this lifestyle?
Hello to everyone. I'm sorry for my English, first of all, because I have to talk slowly because my English is not so good, but I hope you understand. To answer the question, I always drawn from when I was a child, and I think a part of me always wanted to be a professional illustrator, but I was not aware of that since around when I was a teenager. Then I discovered manga, Japanese world, and also Japanese fashion. And this is it was the moment when I realized that mangaka or illustrators or drawing and create in general could be a professional way, professional way of living. And when I saw this, I realized that this was what I would like to become. Here we are. But also for me, it was a natural process because I was drawn for myself first, and then I started to share some stories and illustration on my sites. And I started with cartoon tales. That was my first site since I was asked me to print it. And so this was the moment when I realized, okay, I'm not ready, but I have to be ready.
I'm also curious if you haven't seen already, probably most of you have seen, but you can see the works of Loputyn in our expo. I will also present, even they are not here because they are attending there. We have also other artists, which are Kawaii and Elena Aguilar, which is the photographer. Carolina is the other illustration. So I just also want to introduce them because they should be here as well as guests, but they are attending there. Also, I would like to ask you how you describe your style, because we see it so musical, but is there any way you describe your expressions?
Okay, I haven't a word to describe the style, but for sure this is a mix of manga culture and more European styles. I always loved
I didn't like favorite too.
yeah. I also loved the illustrations from when I was a child, and I mixed all these things I loved, the manga, the illustration, and also natural world, like woods, animals. I live in countryside since I was a child, so you can find some of these inspiration in my works and things.
Great. So as we will have a few time, I think I will jump into which questions you may have, because I think that will be more interesting. And let's see what, do you have any questions for Lore, for Loputyn? Don't be shy, like anything will do. Like,
I would like to ask Jessica about the wolf theme, because it's so important in your work, and especially the anthropomorphic wolf, and I would like to know about a little more about it.
Okay, I'm sorry. For me, the wolf is not a particular person or it's more a concept that, like me and young, you can find in my works the feminine world that is represented by the birds or more fluid things or material things, flowers. And in the other side, we have the dark side of the natural world. And when I draw him, I imagine he's a part of the girl herself, not something that lives outside her, but inside her. And these two parts of the same unity, of the same universe, are sometimes in conflict, but sometimes they also love each other. And I think in the totality of the world, always with these two sides, like the concept of Melan, in fact. And this is what he represents for me, but there is a lot more I can tell, but I hope you can understand while watching illustrations. Because I like the interpretation when some people approach work, and that's why I prefer to illustrate than write stories, because the interpretation is more open. I hope I have answered.
okay, so we have another question here. It is for Lore, or okay.
I wanted to ask to Lolita, because I have seen in her YouTube channel that her style like different than how other people wear Lolita. Like your makeup is over the top. Yeah, it's like inspired in, as I have seen and I thought, it's like inspired sometimes in the circles, something like that. And I wanted to ask, when did you decide to wear that makeup and that over-the-top outfits and all this stuff?
So when I started in Lolita, it was very like plain, like sweet Lolita was very plain. It was kind of like what old school is. Like everyone was into like natural makeup and like wearing their own hair. And I would get comments like, your makeup is too dark, you have too much pink eyeshadow, and that just like filled me with rage and wanted to do it more. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. And I have a lot of inspiration from like drag queens and like drag artists and clowns for sure. And I feel like there's a lot of people that take influence in their Lolita from like Japanese art, and I feel like my style is like more inspired by like American cartoons. I want to be like a cartoon character. So it's always kind of been there, and it's just like continuing and just like keep pushing the boundaries. Like at first everyone's mad that I'm wearing clown makeup, but then now more people are accepting of it, so I'm like, okay, I can like go a step further and keep going with it. So yeah, a bunch of different inspirations. I hope that answers it. Yeah. Please, everyone.
Más preguntas que cambiar por ahí. Vale. This one's for Loputyn. You said you started with the Sweet Lolita, and we've all known you for your really good Sweet Lolita, but you started going with gothic and stuff. How did you manage to change style so drastically when you have a really built-in wardrobe and like a really consistent Sweet Lolita wardrobe, and now you can wear that gothic and stuff? How did you manage that?
I've always been a secret goth because before I wore Lolita, I was emo and goth. I wore like all black because when I started wearing Sweet Lolita, my mom would be like, if you told me in high school that you'd be wearing pastels, I wouldn't believe you. So I've always had like, when I first started, my whole concept with Lolita was that I wanted to try every style. And I wanted to have this wardrobe that was like everything, which is stupid because you can't mix and match like steampunk with sweet. So I started off trying to do this diverse thing, and then I just like leaned into Sweet Lolita. So I always had like one or two gothic pieces, and I have friends who wear gothic Lolita, and I would just borrow their clothes. And then within the last year or so, I feel that the people that I'm surrounded with in my day-to-day life are all goth, and I think that they're just like rubbing off on me now, because when I'm not filming and wearing Sweet Lolita, all I wear is black. Like, I get so sick of pastels. But I feel like I also get that fun out by making videos. So I've been slowly working on it. My gothic wardrobe is still like very small compared to my sweet one, but I think because I'm really confident and happy with my Sweet Lolita wardrobe, that now I can like shift my focus and build up my gothic wardrobe. I bought an I Do Declare dress today, and I'm really happy about it, and I can't wait to wear it.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hi, this is a question for Loputyn. I would like to know how do you able to put your emotions to the designs that you make, because I feel the illustrations when I see it, I feel like the emotion going through. So I would like to know.
Thank you. It's difficult, but I think it was a natural process because when I was a child I was really shy. So I was not able to express my emotion with words. So I started to grow to create connection between me and other people. And that's why today this is natural for me to put emotion in words, because it's a needing, not a choice. Okay. I hope I answered.
into so my questions for Jessica too, because you have your two partners, which are Lolita and Roy, and so you have combined Lolita into your illustrations, but I was wondering if you ever thought of making patterns for Lolita with your illustrations, because I think it's something everyone here would love to see. Maybe since you have design. I don't know if you can actually talk about this, sorry. Maybe it's a spoiler question, but
Thank you for the interest. I'm really happy about it because it made me wish to create something with Lolita works one day. So I hope it will become a reality.
Thank you. So this is for Laura, because you've been making your videos for quite a while now, and I'm curious what differences you've noticed in the community over the period of time that you've been making the videos, trends, sort of different attitudes that might have sort of popped up over time.
Oh my gosh, big question. Yeah, big question. I find that the drama is always the same thing, always. It just repeats itself, and we're always explaining the stupid book, just constantly. It's interesting because it's whenever I visit a new community, I feel like I've already visited it because there's so many similarities between communities, but then also differences. It's kind of strange. Like I'll see someone with like a really unique style, but I'll like know someone else that kind of looks like their style too. Like one of my longtime high school friends looks just like Magda, like the same style, same hairstyle, like everything. And I don't, would it be like specifically for Lolita or like YouTube?
I think I'm interested in sort of how Lolita YouTubers, because you're one of the few that sort of stuck the landing and been around for this long, and other ones kind of pop up and then people lose the momentum for it a lot. So like what kind of also kept you going? Is it the changes, or is it just that you just feel like you've got a lot to say?
I think that it's just that I constantly have ideas that I want to make and I'm just stubborn. But it makes me really sad because I know YouTube is a lot of work and there's a lot of like criticism and you're putting yourself out there. And there's times that I'm like, I wish I'd made myself a faceless YouTuber because I just don't want to like present myself today. But I notice a lot of Lolitas like will make a few videos and then stop, and like I feel like if anyone makes videos and then stops, like you can always come back, even though like the algorithms will suck. Like if you make the content that you want, people will find it. And yeah, I feel like the Lolitas on YouTube are just like dwindling. But like I still have Joelle, so we're still gonna power through. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting too because the Lolita community in general, I feel like has grown so much, especially after the pandemic. Like hearing so many Lolitas who have gotten into it then. So I feel like we're kind of at this point where we're gonna get more content, like more creation, especially with TikTok. I feel like a lot of Lolitas have moved to TikTok because it's easier to make, but I feel like we're at this part where we're gonna see like more explosion of content in Lolitas. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hi, this is for any of you. How do you feel about a portion of the community being kind of elitist, like the fashion was born from being anti the norm, anti-capitalism, for saying it that way, and now it's kind of there's a lot of people in the community that's the contrary. I don't know how to.
I think I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that like Lolita started by breaking the rules of the norms,
and
then
it's so free. Do you really need to go to them and say, hey, you're doing it wrong? Because you can't say that. But how?
I'm really interested to know if that's something that is relevant like in Europe too, because I know like in North America it's very present, like that, like judgment and criticism and stuff, but then in Japan it like doesn't exist. People are like more creative and don't really care. They'll wear like a half cord and just running shoes. Is that in Europe? Do you feel like there's pressure to like fit in?
Not that much, but yeah, I think so.
I was really curious because I didn't know. But I think
that's where the drama comes from.
Yeah, I think that it's really silly. Like, it amuses me. I think it's really funny, and I think that eventually those people like realize that, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, they go and touch grass, and you're like, oh, wow.
How do you act against it, or do you?
I just laugh at it. I don't know. I like don't, because you don't really encounter it in person, right? Like, or if you do, you just kind of laugh at it. And I laugh at it online and like make fun of it because it's funny to me. Because you're right. Like, we are rebelling against society, and like when we go out in the street, normal people are already judging us. So why would we want to judge each other? Like, we need to support each other. And like, there are so many people who support one another, so it's great. But we need to like keep that in mind. Yeah. I don't know.
If you want to, if you want to say something about.
Okay, it's difficult for my level of English, but I try to answer. I particularly agree with the last part of your of what you said. About the support of diversity and support of each other. And this is the way I live Lolita, and or in elite, we use the word elite in your question. And I think in this elite in particular, there is a really open-minded people, and that's what I love in Lolita fashion or community, and I feel really connected to this.
Immediately jump into the next panel. It's about old school Lolita, the everydays of Lolita. A bit about how fashion is going. So if you want, if you are free from it, we will do. But if you want to stay, you can stay wherever you wish. We will do this with Tati, which is like the most kawaii person from Spain.